Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the Go ESG ASEAN Corporate Sustainability Virtual Summit, ASEAN's premier virtual corporate sustainability conference and exhibition focusing on ESG and sustainable development. This is day two with a focus on corporate ASEAN. My name is Prida Liu, and this premier regional sustainability summit is made possible with the support of our collaborators, Sarawak Energy, Petronas, CMM, Willstack, and our partners, Tata Consultancy Services, SME Corp, Malaysia, and Trade. Now, we're going to have three parallel sessions happening. Let me just give an introduction of the three parallel sessions. The first one is Sustainable Business Strategies, the ASEAN Way, from how to now. Another parallel session is Raising ASEAN Business Ambition for SDGs. And the third one is from MRCB. Now, I'll be handing over this session to the various moderators to take over, and I trust you'll enjoy and learn from the crucial topics outlined. Use the same token pass and click on the broadcast studio tabs to join the ones most relevant to you. So I'm passing it all over to the moderators now. Enjoy the sessions.
So, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to our distinguished speakers and our virtual audience from wherever you are joining us virtually today. So, welcome to our panel session on Sustainable Business Strategies, the ASEAN Way, from how to now. So, my name is Sarima and I'm the Head of Sustainable Development Management at Petronas. And today I'm glad to be your moderator for this session. And most importantly, to be on stage with these great sustainability captains of ASEAN. So I'm sure that all of us are very excited to get up close and personal with our speakers. And so without further ado, I'm glad to introduce you to our panels for the session. And we have with us today, Ms. Pratima Divgi, and she is currently the Director, Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand at CDP Hong Kong. And later I will get her to introduce herself to you in further detail. Next we have Ms. Esther An. She is the Chief Sustainability Officer at City Development Limited, Singapore. Also we have Ms. Maria Victoria Tan, who is the Head of Group Risk Management and Sustainability at Ayala Corporations, Philippines. And finally we are having with us Mr. Muhammad Irwan Aman, who is the Head of Sustainability Division at Sarawak Energy Berhad, Malaysia. So after putting faces to all these names, I will now invite the speakers to do a brief introduction, and let us start with Irwan. Irwan, can you do a short introduction of yourself, please?
Okay, thank you so much, Sarima. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon, everyone. My name is Irwan bin Aman. I'm the Head of Sustainability Division in Sarawak Energy. Yeah, I think we are looking at how to embed sustainability practices in our operations. I think that's our main objective of our function. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Irwan. Next, can we have Victoria?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih, selamat sore, or selamat, yeah, it's like selamat sore, right? So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. I'm the Head of Group Risk Management and Sustainability at Ayala Corporation, one of the largest and probably the oldest conglomerates in the Philippines. So part of my job is really looking at future-proofing the organization. So I think it started when I even before I joined the corporation. So hopefully this session will help us understand what we can do better and how we can make it a forward better scenario for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Finally, Pratima.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pratima from CDP. And for those of you who are hearing about CDP for the first time, we are a not-for-profit, and we've been basically working as a bridge between companies and investors, basically for having companies to disclose and understand the impacts that their business operations have on the environment, but then also for investors to take that information and better engage and understand how, as Victoria just put it, how companies are future-proofing, and what is the assessments, financial assessments that they're doing with respect to ESG. So that's sort of just to give you a brief background on what CDP does. For Asia, we have around 2,500 companies in Asia Pacific that now report to us. So a great amount of data, and many of you who are already reporters of CDP. So great to see you here as well. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Pratima. Esther, to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer of City Developments Limited, or CDL in short. Our core business is real estate development and also management, and as well as hotel ownership and management as well. Very glad to have started the sustainability journey almost 25 years ago. And today we are raising really, really fast, towards net zero, supporting the global goals as well as the national goals and the industry as well. And the property sector is very close to the heart of everybody, and everyone live, work, play, and study in one. So would be very happy to share our humble story and experience, how what is our journey of decarbonization, digitization, and also disclosure of our impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you to all panelists for your brief introduction, and I'm sure that all the audience are very, excited to hear from your exciting stories. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since the world has been hit by the COVID-19, many scholars have been saying that Mother Earth is now at a tipping point, which means that with one more wrong step that we are going to make, it will make us all jump off the cliff to an irreversible climate disaster. So let me bring our focus to attention of our discussion to the context of ASEAN. So the way we work and live now has changed in this era of post-COVID-19, especially the demand of our customer base has changed, and this has a major impact affecting industries and as well as the market at large, be in whatever industry that we are in. So following that, I want to ask this question to Esther. So Esther, City Developments Limited is a leading global real estate company which span in 29 countries with geographical diverse portfolio that comprises residences, offices, hotels, service apartments, shopping malls, as well as integrated developments. So being one of the largest companies by market capitalization with stable income during the pre-COVID, how bad has the pandemic affected the business in real estate, Esther? Maybe you can share some limelights on this?
Well, I think COVID really see no borders. It has affected the way we live, work, and travel and run our business globally, not just Singapore or ASEAN. But we all actually learn very fast that changes and challenges can come to hit us with very short lead time, and we all are not sure about the scale, how bad it is, and how long will it last. And of course, now we are seeing some light in the tunnel. But we also not quite sure. We are not sure when will the vaccines be reaching out to everybody, every part of the world. So now we are actually have learned that most important thing is the business resilience, and how do we future-proof our business? And COVID will not be the last, pandemic that hit the world. So I think with this experience, businesses are actually better prepared for the future. And I think it also, one of the silver lining come out of COVID is the ESG, adoption has really, be in the front, left, center. Everyone is talking about ESG over the last 6 to 8 months. And of course, investor financier are the key driver. And we have seen a lot of reports about how ESG indices and ETF have outperformed their counterpart. And a lot of businesses are waking up to the fact that, yes, we need to, take a long-term view, look at how we can, enhance the overall business resilience and really saving up, building up capacity for not just rainy day, but stormy day. And definitely we are also preparing the whole value chain, a larger ecosystem. We're helping the tenants, helping our supply chain. A lot of them are our suppliers, which are actually SME. So how do we bring everybody along and to recover better and greener? That is actually our priority now.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. I think one of the reprioritization of our business strategies at the moment is not very much about to move the strategies that we have charted or designed pre-COVID, but also to make it fluid and dynamic to address the new challenge that we face now. Yeah, Esther? Yeah. So thank you, Esther. Your answer is actually leading me to the next question that I have for Irwan from Sarawak Energy. So Irwan, Sarawak Energy is actually an energy development company and a vertically integrated power utility with a vision to achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for Sarawak, which is one of the states in Malaysia. And in this manner, your strategies is very much focusing on meeting the region's need for reliable as well as renewable energy, providing electricity to about 3 million Sarawakians in the urban and the rural areas. And you have made it very clear that your role is to provide reliable, sustainable, as well as safe and competitively priced power. This is very, very noble, yeah? So it is impressive for me to read that Sarawak Energy is poised to be a regional powerhouse and a digital utility by 2025. So what is it like for Sarawak Energy, Irwan? Has COVID-19 provides an opportunity for us to rethink, redesign, as well as reinvent your roadmap without compromising your aspiration that you have charted pre-COVID? And what are your thoughts around the opportunities for ASEAN business? So yeah, Irwan.
Yep. Yep.
Irwan, can you unmute? Thank you.
Yep.
Irwan, can you hear? We cannot hear you. Yeah. Irwan, can you hear us? Hello, Irwan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you hear us? Do you want me to repeat?
Okay, thank you so much,
your
Sarima. In fact, as mentioned by Esther, COVID impact in every aspect of our work. Yeah, for example, now we are doing online. There are a lot of online meetings now. Sometimes quite difficult for us to catch up sometimes. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. We can hear you. Hello?
Yes, Irwan. Do you want me to repeat the question for you again?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Irwan?
Yes, can you hear me? Yep. Hello?
Yes. Do you want me to repeat the question for you again? Irwan, can you hear us? Okay, maybe one, you can help us to fix the technical thingy, but meanwhile, maybe I will go to another panelist and I will come back to Irwan later, yeah? All right. Okay, that is actually the question that I was asking about Sarawak Energy, but okay, let me go to what do you call it, Pratima. So Pratima, actually I have one question for you. CDP is a non-profit charity that runs the global disclosure systems for investors, companies, cities, states, and regions to manage the environmental impacts. Yeah. So I was reading a lot about the CDP, and one thing that caught my attention is that it was mentioned that we must act urgently to prevent dangerous climate change and environmental damage further. So that starts by being aware of our impact so that our investors, companies, cities, and governments can come together to make the right choices now. So my question to you, Pratima, are we too late now? So maybe you can deliberate there.
I think just to answer that question, let me just take a few steps back and sort of talk about how the policy and policies are actually coming together and regulators are actually coming together and realizing that this is a problem that goes well beyond individual departments to be able to address this problem, and why we need to be a lot more collective and collaborative in dealing with it. And if you sort of jump back, the one thing that really sort of brings to this is, first, of course, the collaborative initiative was countries coming together, which is the Paris Agreement. We don't need to discuss that. It's now sort of well known and mainstream. But the second one that I do want to bring up is the Network for Greening the Financial System, which is where the coalition of central banks, there's about 69 or 70 of them that have come together, realizing that they need to work collectively and understand and address the climate issues that may be existing right now in their financial systems, understand what those tests, understand what the risks are, stress test the banking system, and really develop the capacity building necessary for the financial institutions to understand and be able to translate corporate disclosure in climate and ESG into financial decision making. So that's already a very strong collaborative effort that's come forth. In terms of Asia and in context of Asia, the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the People's Bank of China are already on the steering committee of NGFS, and which is why you have seen so many central banks coming out very strongly in their commitments to understanding and really greening what they term as their financial systems. But this is now starting to percolate beyond just central banks into cross-agency collaborations. We are seeing that happening with the MAS. They came out with their Green Finance Center, which is really aiming to bring together financial institutions, but also NGOs who have been working on this for a long time, but also other policy and regulators. We're seeing this with the Joint Committee for Climate Change, which is in Malaysia, just spearheaded by Bursa Malaysia and Bank Negara Malaysia and some of the other policymakers on the ground. In Hong Kong, we're seeing a similar cross-agency system coming together where the Securities and Finance Commission in Hong Kong and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority have brought together the Bureau of Environment and the Financial Services Treasury Bureau, all come together to start discussing and working on a very common issue. And to me, what that really signals is the ability to start translating, not at the point where, why are we still wanting to do the disclosure? It's really at the point where it's reached about how do we translate all of this information in making financial decisions, in arriving at price discovery, and ensuring that, this is leading to a more resilient financial system. And that has direct implications for corporates on the ground because, even for most companies, like I said, we have about 2,500 in Asia Pacific today that are at various levels of journeys on this level of disclosure. But even with COVID, we have seen an increase this year for companies that are coming for the first time to start reporting. And to me, that signals the fact that the disclosure has started normalizing, sustainability disclosure has started normalizing within the system. But within the next couple of years to 3 years, we are going to start seeing financial institutions demanding this disclosure and integrating that within their due diligence, within their environmental stewardship, but also in new, financial products and services. And when that sort of collaboration comes through, we realize that this is no longer silo. It is a lot more integrated, and it's going to get more integrated from this time forward.
Okay. I think thank you, Pratima, for that clarification. I think that confirms that we have to take the actions now and rather not to wait for for the future to dictate what's coming up for us. Yeah. So okay. Then my next question goes to Victoria. Victoria, I'm just wanted to know more about this from you. For an organization and conglomerate like Ayala that has been established since 1834, yeah. It has a long-standing partner in its pursuit for progress and nation building, especially for Philippines. And I read this quote by your CEO that he has called for an action for big corporations to give climate change a seat at the table. Yeah, so this is a very tall order. And also calling for the private sectors to incorporate climate change in their business strategies, as well as to recruit climate competent decision makers who can shape, implement, as well as reports as matrices. Yeah. So on this note, Victoria, how will you operationalize your sustainability strategy to balance between capacity building, resources, as well as ambitions, yeah, given the challenges that we are now facing for the short term as well as medium term to meet our long-term aspiration? So what's your take on this?
Okay, thank you for that. I think that was the recent global webcast from Deloitte, where my chairman actually shared the stage together with no less than Paul Polman in relation to climate change, right? So, for us, we have started integrating risk management and sustainability. That conversation started in 2017 because we saw that all the sustainability risk will soon become a financial risk. If you will not be able to manage your social issues, your environmental issues, then the business has no reason or has no purpose to continue being a business. So it translates to a financial risk. We started that conversation in 2017 and also moved to 2018 by doing risk assessment with the 8 sustainability megatrends as context for the risk assessment, looking into these megatrends and what will be the impact of these megatrends to our ambitions, to the different business units objectives. And then we also integrated our functional summit. So we call it functional summit because I have a summit for risk management, I have a summit for sustainability. We integrated that and we invited no less than Sunny Burgess as our main speaker because being a part of WBCSD, we are also aligning with their ambition that 9 billion people would be able to live in a healthy and just way within the planetary boundaries by 2050. So those are the things that we do. We continued that in 2019 and also most recently last November 10 we had our integrated summit. We also included as part of our risk criteria environmental criteria. And also on the social side, we included what is our impact to the community. And also included there is our practice of human rights. So in a nutshell, how are we doing this? First of all, we make sure that there is an awareness at the board level of what's going on in the sustainability space. Then we integrated the process. So we make sure that sustainability risk is always part of discussion. We have um, revise the charter of the risk management committee to include the sustainability risk in the discussion. And also, one of the commitment that we did in 2019 is to adopt the TCFD, Task Force on Climate Financial Disclosure. And we are working on the 11 disclosures. And I think that will be a journey. It cannot be done in 1-2 years because there are a lot of things that we need to incorporate, the scenario analysis, and considering that we have varied business interests, we have power, we have real estate, we have bank, telco, and I think I have 11 verticals to look after and to consolidate that data and to be able to come up with an informed decision, how are we going to future-proof the company is a big task. But I cannot do this alone. We have partners, as you have said, over the 186 that we are in the Philippines. We develop partnership and alliances. The government is a very good partner for us because they give us the enabling environment, especially in the transition risk under TCFD, whether they give us incentives or they give us taxes. So we really don't know. So I think the short answer to that is we are integrating risk management and sustainability and bridging the gap between balance sheet and the broader environmental and social issues.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I think thank you very much for that, Victoria, because that confirms what we are seeing is that the new approach towards sustainability is very much to embed the sustainability as part of a risk management enterprise of the organization. Yeah. So thank you for that. So now I would like to go back to Irwan. I hope Irwan you with us, and we do not want to miss your input. So Irwan, going back to the Sarawak Energy portfolio, yeah. As we're fully aware that Sarawak Energy is
By the way,
the
Sharima, can you hear me? Sharima, now?
Yes,
Can you
I
hear me
can
now?
hear you.
Just to
Can you
check.
hear me?
Okay, okay, great. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Irwan?
Yes.
Okay, all
Yes,
right,
yes.
great.
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, great. So let's try this again. So I'm talking very much from the perspective of Sarawak Energy, which is the energy development company, and it is a vertically integrated power utility with a vision that has been set to achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for the state of Sarawak. So in this manner, your strategies is very much focusing on meeting the region's need, for reliable as well as renewable energy, providing electricity to amazingly 3 million Sarawakians in the urban as well as rural areas. And you make it very clear that your role is to provide reliable, safe as well as competitively priced power, which is also in alignment with the sustainability, its accessibility to affordable energy. So it's very impressive to read that Sarawak Energy is poised to be a regional powerhouse as well as a digital utility by the year of 2025. And I'm quite interested to know, maybe you can share, what is it like for Sarawak Energy? Has the COVID-19 provides an opportunity for us to rethink, redesign, and reinvent your roadmap that you have charted pre-COVID without compromising your aspiration for the long term? So what's your thoughts around the opportunities, especially for ASEAN and ASEAN businesses? So Irwan, over to you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarima. In fact, indeed, COVID impact the way we work within Sarawak Energy as well as in Sarawak as a whole. Basically, a lot of things need to be done online now. Yep. So I just would like to add what Esther mentioned earlier. It's not only about resilience; it's also about agile cooperation. Yeah. So for Sarawak Energy, we are inspired to become regional powerhouse, and I just would like to add in as a hydropower specialist as well. So we are not only supplying to our local domestic customer, but we're also exporting to Kalimantan. Right. So knowing, if you talk about sustainability, our journey into sustainability is basically it's quite important for us to understand because it need to be managed by data. Okay, we have signed the 1.5 degree C pledge last June. So in fact, we are setting up what is our target for our SBTI. So that would be an interesting thing for us. And then for 2019, our sustainability report for 2019, we're incorporating TCFD. Okay, that going to be this will be going to be published soon. So for us in Sarawak Energy, quite interesting to see how is our performance pre and post COVID in terms of scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. And then I think this will chart a way for us to relook to our strategy and to rethink what can be done. Of course, if you look at our generation mix now, 78% are coming from hydro, which is renewable. So what's next? How we can achieve to reduce our carbon footprint so that we're able to achieve 1.5 degrees C targets by 2030. So all these are quite interesting year for us. In fact, COVID accelerate the efforts that we are putting in, for example, digitalization and so on. It accelerate our sustainability plans, although it's not under sustainability department per se, but as a company, it accelerate all these best practices or sustainability practices that results to reduction in carbon footprint. In addition, we also try to explore together with UNGC how to extend this commitment, for example, our SBTI commitment to our supply chain, right? How we can play a proactive role in educating them and try to get them in so that they support our SBTI. It can be starting from a baseline, so our supply chain report to us their footprints, and then we can have education or engagement with them. So then we can come up with some sort of improvement, how they can cut down their carbon footprint, for example. So we have all this in place. So in fact, yes, COVID accelerate whatever we have. So yeah, I think that's the input from me. Sorry, Ma, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Irwan, for that, insightful input from you and Sarawak Energy. The other thing is that I would like to encourage our participants for you to post any questions that you have that you wanted to ask specifically to any panelists that are with us today. And for ongoingly, I will check the chat box and will pick up your questions for me to post to the panelists. Yeah. So meanwhile, I'll just continue my questions to our distinguished speakers. Most of you are the captains of sustainability in your own industry, and I wanted to ask this question from individual perspective of us being, one of the what do you call it, citizen of our country, citizen of our corporate organizations. So what's your thoughts in terms of how far more we have to push the sustainability agenda in our organization as well as in our industry from what we were today? So what is the change that you think is critical for break this chain is to reinvent and do things differently to achieve our aspiration because of the change that has been faced by all of us in this world. So what's your thought? Why don't you answer that first?
I can take that if you probably
Okay.
just to set the context, and I'm sure the others will jump in. But I just wanted to pick a couple of points that Irvan just spoke of. You know, two of the things that really stood out to me. One was engagement with the supply chain, and of course what Victoria talked about earlier, and Esther alluded that to as well, is the board level engagement, right? So let's take the instance of the TCFD disclosure, and all of you are disclosing on TCFD at one point or another. I think that for companies that are just starting on the journey, and this is who the advice is for, is really understanding that the TCFD fits into your enterprise risk management framework. That's really where it fits in. So you can take governance and culture. That's where it's ensuring that your climate and environment management is reporting to your board risk committee on a quarterly or biannual basis. You can have your objective setting, which again fits in very well with climate scenario analysis and performance. Your metrics and targets is where your revision and your review takes place within your enterprise risk management. And your reporting is really not just for external, for investors, but it's also internal, because that messaging needs to come through internally. And as Victoria also alluded to, within the 11 other organizations that she's managing within the group. So that's sort of one area where the focus for ERM really comes in. And then to pick up on what Irvan said about the value chain and supply chain, I think we are seeing particularly that a lot of the larger corporations are very much reaching out to their supply chains to understand what are the physical risks and the indirect risks of the physical locations. We've had issues where companies have reported on them having to reassess the physical locations of their warehouses, which are now coming more onto the flooding zone. So they've had to move them inwards, especially in Thailand, for example. We've had issues where we've had a Southeast Asian beverage company that said that, because of supply chain disruptions due to drought from sourcing soy in Australia, they've had to rework their supply chain to ensure that they have reliable sourcing for this raw material from other parts of the world, namely Brazil, for instance. And so you're starting to see these instances crop up. And so it's really no surprise that there was an Alliance study that came out where it said East Asian businesses are actually ranking climate risks as number one within their supply chains. And so I think if you were to point out two big areas, one is really integration of ESG within your ERM, and the second is value chain engagement.
Well, if I may,
thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, please.
If I may chime in from the business case, I think Pratima really set this in. If I could share the 4 pillars of our ESG integration, there are 4 I's here. Integration is our top priority, then innovation, then investment and impact. So when I talk about integration, we have to really look at how we integrate the ESG into the overall business strategy, not working in silos. And we also look at how do we integrate it into the whole operation, governance structure. And for our sustainability portfolio, we only report to the board sustainability committee comprising 3 independent director and our group CEO. So we really look to the board for direction, and also the group CEO for endorsement and support and resources for operational engagement. And everyone in your organization must be aligned with what is our focus. So this is the first one is integration. And also how do we align with the global goals and, national goals and also the industry goal. Global goals, of course, we are talking about, a Paris Agreement. A national goal is what we are, your country is setting. And of course, industry-wide in the property sector, the World Green Building Council already set the scene is like net zero. By 2030, all buildings should, not new buildings should be all net zero. 2050, all old building inclusive. So decarbonization, therefore, is very, very important for us. And we are looking at risk management, but not just mitigation. But you look at adaptation. Without innovation, technologies, and solutions, you can't move the needle. So how do we build, greener and, towards low carbon is very important. How do we deploy, renewable energy and all that is very important. And investment is a third, pillar, which actually, as a listed company, we want to attract, ESG investors. As an investor ourselves, we also invest in technology, put money where our mouth is about innovation, about technology, and we even invest in venture capital that actually invest in technology and even some startup. And impact is last and also very, very important, because whatever we do in our business, we create impact, whether it's positive or negative or area for improvement. That is where the reporting come to the picture and ESG disclosure come in. Apart from TCFD, I'm sure that all the, our corporate friends here all are surrounded by the hot soup of acronym. You have the GRI, you have the SBTI, CDP, SASB, GRABS, and IIRC. So over our 13 years of sustainability reporting, we have actually developed our own blended, approach. We combine GRI, the multi-stakeholder approach, and SASB real estate standard, plus the TCFD and SDG since 2016. And we have already set target for SBTI since 2018. So can you imagine you are surrounded by all these, global benchmark and standards? How do you, crystallize your thinking is very important. So TCFD, the 4 area, the strategy part is very important. Not just about matrix and standard, not just about risk management or governance. It's all about strategic integration of all these important, area that combine together how to add value to your business, not just the current business, but future-proof your business. And that is also why we set up our sustainability blueprint and setting target. We call it Future Value 2030. And I think I better stop here. I can go on forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, because you mentioned it rightly, and this is where I'm coming from. Your insights have created this interest from the participants, and like when just to repeat what Pratima and you has mentioned, Esther, is that that we have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of work to to move forward, and the responsibility of doing all this and making this happen is not only on the shoulder of the sustainability captains in the organization. So the next question that is being asked by the participant is that, looking into the CEOs of our current organization, do we need experienced sustainability practitioners? Do you see the future CEOs coming from a strong sustainability background? Because most of our CEOs, for example, are coming from either a financial background and like different technical backgrounds. So what do you think about this? Anybody wants to take this question?
Probably I'll take that question. Okay, so do I see future CEOs coming from a strong sustainability background? Yes and no. Yes, because they need to understand the sustainability impact to the business. And no, because they need to balance it off. They need to have a strong financial background as well. I think part of being a sustainable organization is you balance your environmental impact, you magnify the positive impact, and you actually minimize your negative impact. And then you take care of the people on the social side, the communities that you work with. And then of course, everything should have that financial returns. Otherwise, we will all be asking for money, and if there is no return to that money, it will not go round, right? There is no ripple effect. So it is good that they have a strong understanding of what are sustainability issues and what is the impact of these sustainability issues to the financial viability of the organization. So I think in a nutshell, that is because if we ask for strong sustainability impact, I think strong sustainability background, I think Paul Polman said that we have very, very limited number of people with in his word is climate change educated or climate change scientists or business practitioners. So there will be lesser of them. So what can we do is probably educate more people or more CEOs in this space and let them understand. I think if they have a good working understanding of the sustainability risk, then we are actually going to be reaching our financial viability as well. So I think that's my take on that one.
Thank you, Victoria. I think you mentioned it very what call it strongly, because like this is where I'm going to the next question. When one of the questions being asked
I think
is
I just would like
experience
to.
sustainability. Yes, yes, Irwan, you want to add on? Please proceed. Irwan, you want to proceed?
Okay, I just would like to add one point. I think that's why TCFD recommended that there is a need to all these. Yes, yes. Can you hear me? Hello, hello,
We can hear you.
hello.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Irwan. We can
No, it's
hear
okay.
you.
Carry on. I'm having an internet problem. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, all right, everyone. We'll keep you in the loop. Okay, I'll come back to you on this. So
Okay, all
let's
right,
the
all right. Just to add
yeah.
one point. Just to add one point just now about having a strong background on sustainability. Okay, okay.
Go ahead, Irwan. Okay, so I'll come back to Irwan in a short while. So going back to the question that we have here from our
Okay,
audience.
sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes, Irwan, we
Okay, all
can.
right.
Irwan, would you like to speak or you want to reserve later?
Okay.
Yeah, you want to
Going
speak?
back to
Please
the
proceed.
background, having a strong background in sustainability, I think it's already been addressed in the TCFD requirement.
Thank you.
No, just
All right. Thank
reserve
you,
later.
Irwan.
Having problem.
Thank you, Irwan. Okay, so basically looking into the next question that being asked by the audience is that, like for example, we know that the numbers of experts or the sustainability captains and those people who are really niche field of sustainability are very scarce, right? So how in your organizations you're doing the succession planning and capability building to ensure that they are in the pipeline of new emerging sustainability practitioners who are well equipped with not only knowledge but also the skill that is expected from their role to to deliver in the new functions, for example, renewable energy, technology and innovation. Are we doing or are we having that plan in place? So anybody want to take that question?
In fact, I don't think it is just applied to any particular company. I think overall, over the last 20 months or so, I have seen actually quite a lot of major university and doubling up on sustainability training. And if you go to any social media, you can see a lot of even Ivy League school. They have sustainable finance courses. They have all the sustainability 101 type of courses. So this is really everybody is racing to build capacity. And for us, actually, we are very fortunate. My department is the only department that has expanded over the last 10 months, actually. We have actually added a team of engineers, mainly focusing on sustainable innovation. So this is an area that, because innovation has been our top ESG issue based on our sustainable materiality study since 2014. So we are looking at, like, our stakeholder actually told us also that they are taking a look at, they're taking a long-term view, not just looking at legal compliance. They are looking at technology and innovation, how to future-proof your building, the way we design, we build and manage. So you can't just live today. You have to live, create your technology for tomorrow, because SBTI, targets are very, very ambitious target. So without technology, I wouldn't be able to achieve it even by 2030. So this is something that we have actually seen the development of building capacity and knowledge. Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, Esther. And the way, yes, please,
yeah.
Victoria.
So probably I
Yes.
would like to share my personal experience in relation to that sustainability practitioners. I am not a sustainability practitioner. My profession, I am an accountant. So I do more of audit, accounting 101, and then I move into risk management. And then Ayala Corporation gave me the opportunity to do sustainability reporting. So how do we build that kind of talent? It's really dependent upon the person if he is willing to understand or to know what is sustainability. And if that is teachable, so it's really more of the attitude and the behavior of that person. But it also gives us an awareness. It creates an awareness when we are talking into this kind of platform, then people became aware that there is such thing as sustainability. There is no rocket science for now. That's based on my experience. What I really did was to immerse myself into the operation and understand what are the requirements under sustainability reporting, and then why. I think the question is why. Why am I doing this? Why is it needed? So the 5 whys that guided me along the way really will help others who want to change your career and go for sustainability careers in the same manner that I changed my career from an accountant to auditor to risk manager and now a sustainability officer. And now I'm changing it to the integrated risk management and sustainability, because at one point my boss asked me a question: which one do you want to do best, or which one do you want to do better, or do you want, if I ask you to choose between risk management and sustainability, which one are you going to choose? And in my mind, I cannot really choose between the two, because I see that there is that symbiotic relationship, and if you want to future proof the organization, this is the way to go. So for all of you in the audience or participants thinking how are you going to change your career, just go for it. Follow your heart. Thank you.
Okay, Victoria. Okay, maybe I can take one last question from the audience. There's one question they're asking. It says here, collaboration is key in achieving the SDGs. What are you doing? What are you doing to work with others who are not sustainable? So, anybody want to take this question? Irwan, can I give you this to you, or Pratima? Yes.
Thank you so much, Sharima.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Sharima. I think for this one, it's all about peer influence. Let's say, for example, we learn from Petronas, we learn from other companies. Okay, so it's good to have a community that really discuss about how we move forward, how we can move forward. Of course, every companies will have their own challenges in terms of understanding sustainability. The challenges in terms of the structure of it, the governance of it. There are a lot of issues that we are facing as a practitioner. So I think having a peer discussion about sustainability that we can learn from any one of us, good practices that been implemented, I think that's really helps in terms of how we move forwards and how we as a practitioner influence other, for example, our supply chain. For example, we might learn from Petronas how they deal with our supply chain. We can learn from CDP, for example, the best practices in dealing with supply chain. So I think it's all about learning from each other
And then again, it's all about all this really depend on our priorities as a company. What's our strategy and our objective, and then try to as best as possible develop a good business case so that everyone buy into this from top management up to our suppliers. So I think everyone have their own role to play. So yeah, I think that's coming from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Hiram. Pratima, you want to say something?
Yeah, I actually want to bring out the telecom industry as an example for this one. And the reason why I want to bring it out is because at a global sector level, the Global Association of Global Systems Mobile Association, the GSMA, which has about 350 of the largest telecom companies globally, and X number of suppliers in the mobile ecosystem, they came out with a sector level decarbonization target. So it was a benchmark. It is a signpost for all companies in a particular sector to follow. Now, of course, telecom tends to be global business, so it's likely easier to do so. But when you think about it, a local real estate association, for example, or a local utility generation association or industry associations, they can come together to set up these local goals. And as Irfan just identified, it really does help to bring in practical peer-to-peer knowledge exchange in developing this. So and particularly with the telecom sector, I think what we have seen is a huge number of telecom companies, especially the larger ones, coming forward and saying, we want to set science-based targets. Now, I think Vodafone just announced it yesterday as well. The minute companies start setting that, by default, they start engaging with their supply chains. It's a part of setting your science-based targets. And that then starts involving the smaller companies who need the guidance and want to start on this journey, but need the resources and the availability to do so, and are actually looking for some level of guidance from the purchasing companies that can provide this. So I think we can, having these kind of collaborative association-led decarbonization pathways can probably deliver some good insight and ambition really for the sector itself.
Yeah.
Pratima, you mentioned the collaboration. Sorry, Esther, you want to say something?
Yeah, in fact, it is also related to
please.
collaborations, and we have seen very active movement and engagement, whether it is at the UN level or the World Resource Institute, CDP, GRI, and of course Global Compact and the World Green Building Council. All these are actually cross borders that engagement. And last Friday we have like from 8 a.m. until 12 midnight, the World Resource Institute have this SBTI and a climate change focus workshops, and a lot of global leader and regional leader and business practitioner come and share their knowledge, their experience, their journey. So I think it is all these, you build level of knowledge, and hopefully it will drive action. So without collaboration, it is very hard to move towards a low carbon planet. And of course the health of the planet is very interlinked with people, society and the economy. So no one single entity can really save the world. And just to teach you, Victoria, there's a saying that accountants can save the world by Mervyn King. So people who control money, whether you are a CFO or investor or insurer, they are the one who can save the world, because we need resources to drive change. Mervyn King, the book, Chief Value Officer, Accountants Can Save the Planet. Very wonderful book.
Yes, I think that's the most difficult person to influence related to all sustainability initiatives are the CFOs, because they will start counting
ROI and all that.
ROI and all. And some of the projects that we do are long gestation. And or the ROI can be lower than the usual ROI, but still there is an ROI, right? So I think I want to add on the collaboration, and what I realized out during this pandemic is that partnership is key, alliances is key. So in the Philippines, since the government cannot act quite fast, so what we did is we helped them out. So what we did is we worked together with the other private companies, and we came up with Project Ugnayan. So the Project Ugnayan is a fund that we set up together with 276 private corporations to provide sustenance to the vulnerable communities, right? Aside from taking care of our people first and our suppliers, the people also working in the supply chain, then it's about time that we take care of the vulnerable communities. So before you are competitor, but during this pandemic, there is no competition because we have one goal, and that is to protect our people. So partnership and alliances will go a long way, and that is what we need for us to achieve the 17 SDG goals.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think that will also answer the question that we have. Just to wrap up, the other two question that we will ask is basically in terms of the disclosure, which are voluntary, and the audience is asking who determines or who has oversight of your KPIs. But I think what we have discussed in great length is that the pillar or the importance of the key to having this is internal governance, right? Because we in our organization must have internal governance to ensure that we uphold what we disclose, you know. So that's my input on that. And there's another one last question before we wrap up our session. There's this question asking what do the panel think about G2G collaboration to strengthen sustainability within ASEAN region, and ASEAN must have a stance on subscribing to the Paris Agreement. For example, lagging in technology is present at the moment. So anybody want to take that?
Yeah, I take the one first. Sharima. I think at government level, yes, they have every countries will report under the national communication reports, and then under BUR biannual BUR updates on emissions reductions. So country as government set up, they already have that platform. I think for corporates using, for example, Global Compacts, for example, as one of the platform. Yes, I think it's good. We need all the platform we need to push all this agenda. All right. So again, it can't be just one company. It should be especially a big companies that try to influence our supply chain and move forward and come up with actionable, practical way of moving forward, so people can understand it and our supply chain can understand it and then subscribe to it. Only then we create movement moving forward. In short, I said any platform that can push forward all the sustainability agenda is must have. Right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. I think we have come to the end of our conversation. I'm so glad that we had a very dynamic session with our sustainability captains today, and I think it was a very enlightening indeed. And to close up our session, let me highlight some of the key takeaways that I've collected and summarized derived from our conversation today. Firstly, is that we agree that we cannot champion sustainability alone. So we need to strategically collaborate among ASEAN corporations to move forward together as one. Yeah. So leaders of corporations and the captains of the corporate companies need to call for rally to get more corporate players to be on board. Yeah. So number two is that most organizations have been in this journey at their own pace, yeah. But this must change. We can no longer afford to drive sustainability as something good to have, but it is now a license for us to operate in the market, yeah, globally. And thirdly, finally, which I think yet importantly, is that to me, a virus named COVID-19 set the precedent. We can no longer think sustainability in the old-fashioned, yeah. So sustainability is now the survivability of our organizations, and to ensure that we exist on many more years to come, we need to act now. If we don't act now, we'll never act on it. So with that, I would like to thank all of the panelists for their time. And thank you, organizer, for having this opportunity for us to speak our mind on this, as well as I wish all of you a safe day ahead, and let's all play our role, yeah, to create a sustainable world not only for the future, but start with ourselves. Yeah. So with that, Assalamualaikum and have a very good day, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hi.
you.
It's been a
Bye.
pleasure.
Terima
Bye-bye.
kasih.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.